When you think of COVID-19, you probably think of people dying because of illness. COVID-19 is a global pandemic, but it is making another pandemic out of itself, and that is the opioid epidemic. Drugs have affected and ruined my family, and that is why I'm addressing this topic. With COVID-19 happening, help isn't available, but help always needs to be available. I will be discussing the opioid epidemic that is occurring during COVID-19. With COVID-19, everything is shut down, meaning there is no help for those who are battling drugs. The opioid epidemic is the worst it's ever been. According to the AMA's website, more than 40 states have increased a rise in opioid cases during the COVID-19 pandemic. Almost every state has seen an uptick in opioid cases during the COVID-19 pandemic. ABC News stated that fentanyl-related deaths are 133% higher now than they were last year at this time. The cases are on the rise for a couple of reasons. Help isn't available right now and people are jobless. COVID-19 has shut everything down, including resources for people who need help. When battling drugs, most can't just quit. They need professional help, but that help isn't available. When help isn't available, most people dig themselves into bigger holes and eventually overdose, causing a lot of self-harm or suicide. Help needs to be available regardless of the situation happening in the world. Now that we have discussed the rise in cases, we will talk about why the cases are rising. COVID-19 has left many people jobless, which is why the opioid epidemic is on the rise. If they were already addicted to drugs, their addiction is getting worse, or if they've been addicted before and quit drugs, a lot of people are going back and getting themselves into their old shoes again. Over 18 million people in the U.S. are out of work right now due to COVID-19. When they aren't working, they have to do something to fill their time, and a lot of them are choosing to do drugs. When they first start doing drugs, just like anyone, they always say, "I won't get addicted," but it doesn't take long until they are. Being addicted to drugs is an expensive habit to get into, and when they are unemployed, the possibility of them losing their residency due to lack of money to pay for it starts to increase. Lastly, we are going to talk about the risks of being addicted during a pandemic. The main thing that drugs do to your body when you're addicted to them is start to shut things down, making your life expectancy shorter. If you are addicted to drugs and contact a life-threatening disease or a life-threatening virus, it will make you less likely to beat it. According to the National Institute of Drug Abuse website, people who are addicted to drugs are more likely to experience homelessness because they can't afford it, or they are kicked out of their residency. When homeless, they're more likely to get COVID-19 because they are constantly around tons of people, and your health is never the best when you're homeless. If you have bad health, are dirty, addicted to drugs, your body is less likely to have a positive reaction to COVID-19 and fight it off. You will experience more severe symptoms than those symptoms could lead to death. A story I found on the New York Times talks about Jeffrey Cameron, a recovering drug addict who lost his job during COVID-19. He woke up one morning and decided to use drugs again and was instantly addicted. He used so many drugs the first day of using them that by the next morning he had overdosed and killed himself. It took him 24 hours to decide to ruin his life again by using drugs and kill himself by overdosing. In conclusion, I discussed the opioid epidemic that is occurring during the COVID-19 pandemic. With COVID-19, everything is shut down, meaning there is no help for those who are battling drugs. The opioid epidemic is the worst it's ever been.